Hello, my name is Hemingway Jones. Welcome. Today, we're going to dig into one of the most popular Grail fountain pens and take it on. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why this popular and interesting fountain pen is worth every penny of its $716 price. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why there is no way this pen is worth that much. And to even put myself on the spot even more at the end, I'll give you my verdict and what I think of this interesting pen. So join me today, won't you, as I go through the top 5 reasons why it is and is not worth its price tag. The Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age, a very interesting fountain pen. Visconti is a company out of Florence, Italy. This pen was designed by Dante Del Vecchio. Very Italian, very Florentine. If you look online, it goes for around $700 US, $716 or so at the recording of this video. This, of course, is the Bronze Age version. So let's break it down. The first reason why you can justify spending that amount of money for this fountain pen is that there is truly no other fountain pen like the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age. So you are purchasing a very unique pen. It has unique design characteristics, unique materials, a unique filling mechanism. It feels slightly different in the hand, and it has an amazing history and heritage of its own since Visconti's been founded in 1988. So you do get something very particular with your purchase, and that cannot be said all the time for some other expensive fountain pens. What in particular are you getting? First off, materials. The materials here, and much has been said, it's some proprietary mix of igneous rock from Sicily near Mount Etna. How they go about mining this and getting it to a factory, I do not know. But that is mixed with a resin to produce a unique material that has unique characteristics for a fountain pen, has a slight bit of grain to it. It feels different in the hand. It feels like it should be much heavier than it is, but the material is also said to be hygroscopic, so it's going to absorb some of the moisture from your hand. Me personally, I like the idea of resins. I like when they're a little different, when they seem to transcend the characteristics of normal plastics as you see in most fountain pens, and here you truly get something unique. You get a fountain pen that holds on to some of the characteristics of stone, of a volcano, of that cooled igneous rock. Considering the history of Mount Etna, that's really interesting, really exciting, and it ties this fountain pen to Italy in a big way. So you are definitely getting a Grail fountain pen with wholly unique characteristics. And that's something, right? So you're getting that material. What is its effect? Well, that's our second reason. It's durability. So that basaltic rock, that bit of lava that's mixed in with the resin, does produce other characteristics even beyond the feel, and that is tremendous durability. This pen may be heated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, so they tell me, because I haven't actually tested that. How would I test that? It is also virtually indestructible, and I haven't tested that either because I actually adore this fountain pen, and I treat it very gently. But evidently, if you do drop it, it should not be a catastrophic drop. It's a very strong material that won't scratch, won't chip, and more importantly, won't break or crack. So that is pretty amazing for any fountain pen to have that peace of mind. And to me, it elevates the Visconti Homo Sapiens to a decent travel pen, because we all know when we travel with our fountain pens, they take a bit of a beating. It's a real consequence of spending that money. You're spending $716 and you're getting a very tough pen that should last you for the rest of your life. My third reason why I think this fountain pen is worth every penny of $716 is that you are getting a unique design that's firmly rooted in Florence, in the beautiful country of Italy. And that's not a bad thing, is it? Dante Del Vecchio designed this pen. It is very unique, very interesting from the way that it's machined between the resins and the metal. My version just has this beautiful, beautiful metal, and it's already getting a little patinaed, which is really interesting. I love the design on the nib. It's a bit of a burst. It looks very Florentine. It reminds me of the embellishments on Florentine stationery, which you know I adore so much. And this pen has a bit of that Italian sprezzatura. It looks very adaptable. I could see this pen pairing well with a nice pair of aged Levi's or a really nice tweed suit. If I were an executive working in a company in Florence, wouldn't that be nice? That would be really fun. And there are, of course, other tie-ins with the materials, with the fact that the clip, as I've mentioned to you many times on this channel, the gentle arch of the clip matches that underneath Ponte Vecchio across the Arno River, which is just really a neat touch and firmly roots it in Florentine culture. So this pen is a big part of La Dolce Vita. That's wonderful, and each time you use it, you can think of your cafe times in Italy or the ones you dream about if you haven't been there yet. Well, there's some other reasons too that I think that this pen is worth every penny, and one of it is the innovative cap design. It has a hook-safe lock system that is the perfect compromise between a screw cap to keep your nib nice protected and a quick release like a snap cap so that you can access your nib quickly for quick notes, for quick signatures, and anything else you need to write on the go. Because let's be honest, if you have a pen that takes 2 twists, what have you, to unveil your nib, that gets a bit old for a daily writer. There's a lot of that screwing on, screwing off all day.
Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe.
Just to be able to write. The one downside is that the cap's a little bouncy. It pushes in a bit, and that kind of undermines your confidence in it a little bit, even though it's never come apart for me. It's never undone. Other pens have. My Pelikan M200 loves to just unwiggle and spread ink everywhere. It's what that pen does. But this pen is very secure, and it is a very unique way to seal that pen. So it is a good reason to put that kind of money down to get this kind of innovation, this kind of uniqueness in your fountain pen. How am I doing? We're getting there. Have I made my case? Have I convinced you right before I try to argue it the other way? Stay tuned and let me know. Another reason why your $716 US is completely justified is that this pen has a unique filling system, the Power Vac fill system, which is very, very effective. You simply unscrew the back piston, pull it out, and plunge it down into the ink. I prefer to do it twice personally. I just feel like it builds up more of a vacuum. It's a bit of an overkill, but it makes me feel better. So that works very effectively, and it sucks in an enormous amount of ink. You have 1.5 milliliters of ink, and that should last you a very long time, which is good because there's no ink level window for you to tell when you're running out. Although you can sort of tell by the weight, but that's another story. But it's a very effective, very interesting, very robust fill mechanism. It's reinforced with titanium parts, which makes it very, very wear resistant and just a joy to use. So personally, I love how quick it is, how you can get a whole bunch of ink in there quickly, get right back to writing if you should run out. And I guess on the other side, if you need to clean it, you can't see into it, so you never really know how dirty it is. Just keep flushing it until it runs clean and you're probably good enough. My final reason for this amazing fountain pen is perhaps the most compelling reason of all. If you're going to spend $700 for a fountain pen, it should write. And this fountain pen does write, with one very important caveat. We'll probably talk about that in the next section, but let me touch on it now. Some of these nibs are complete garbage, so have your pen seller check yours before you buy it. However, from what I've seen and what I hear and my own personal experience, if you get a good one, it'll be good and it'll be fantastic for you. But if you get a bad one, you are in a world of pain and it will never really be right. Once you touch this nib to paper, you realize where all that money has gone. It is a tremendous flow of ink. It's an intoxicating flood of ink, just lubricating the nib across the page. It's a really beautiful experience to form words. I personally feel with this medium nib that I want to write a little larger just to get that flow and that incredible glide. It is a very nice experience, and holding the pen itself feels quite balanced in your hand. It's about the perfect diameter for my hands. I would recommend against posting it. I feel that it is ridiculously long posted, and plus it adds this extra weight on the back that just tips up your nib more like you're wrestling with it. It makes it harder to control. So for me, it's perfect unposted, and it's very exquisite in its writing. It's just really one of my favorite pens for expressing myself, and I love it for signing documents and other things. So you do get a unique and interesting and very pleasurable and very reliable writing experience, as long as your nib isn't one of the ones that's complete rubbish out of the box. And I guess that's as good a transition as any into the top 5 reasons why, sorry, but there is no way you should put out 716 of your hard-earned dollars for the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age. Stay tuned, because at the end, I'm going to give my verdict and what I think you should do if you're considering purchasing this amazing fountain pen. Now, we all know there's one big reason why you should not purchase this fountain pen, but stay tuned for that, because first I'm going to mention a few other very important things, like the fact that this pen is 42 grams. That makes it what I would categorize scientifically as heavyish. But if you take the cap off, where there is quite a bit of weight, it goes down to 26 grams, and that makes it a pleasurable pen to use when writing. carrying a fountain pen is nearly as important. And you're carrying 42 grams around with you, you might be very much aware of it. And if you're putting it in a pocket that's unstructured, it could pull on that fabric and you could feel it sort of weighty. So just be aware of that. It's a bit more substantial as a fountain pen. But hey, it's made out of rock, so relatively, it's probably lighter than you would expect, but it's still 42 grams. Another reason why you should stay clear of this fountain pen is it's pricey. It's $716. That is a lot of money. And oddly enough, and maybe it's a testament to this pen, I don't see a lot of them on the secondhand market. But then you are susceptible to the big elephant in the room issue that we'll discuss shortly. $716 for this fountain pen puts it roughly equivalent with a Pelican M1000, and that's an amazing pen, another Grail pen that is extraordinary and has a very interesting nib. It is $300 less expensive than a Mont Blanc 149, so there you're getting some unique characteristics that the Mont Blanc doesn't have. So if you want to spin it as a value, you see how this game is played. Essentially, you can rationalize any purchase any way you wish. But we should all be aware that $700 is quite a bit of money for a fountain pen. Even though we love these things and we use them and we find value on our own terms and we don't care what anyone thinks, consider if it has the kind of value proposition that aligns with you and your values. Here's a reason not to put out $700 for this fountain pen, and it's simply the aesthetics. The design of this fountain pen is very interesting and feels very Italian to me. It's an interesting mix with the bronze highlights against the igneous rock resin. So it has a certain light, dark aspect to it, and I think that's what makes it work in so many different situations. But if you look at it purely dispassionately on its design and you were to drain all the color and accents away, it's a bit sort of brutal. It has a bit of that kind of Land Rover aspect to it. It's very robust in its design language, and certainly that suits the fact that it's made out of stone and that it's very, very durable, but it is something to consider. This isn't a glistening gold fountain pen that is going to give you more ethereal thoughts while you use it. It's a very capable, very strong and intense design language going on here. No less interesting to me, and I do love how it pairs with everything in my wardrobe, especially since I tend to wear a lot of earth tones. So it's an interesting pen, but it's maybe not the most beautiful. Okay, there's an elephant in the room staring at me, and we're about to get to you, so just relax, take it easy, okay? So let's just run through some quick items which I feel like detract from this fountain pen. One is, as much as I love the hook safe locking mechanism, I think it's brilliant. I even like this design on the actual pen by the grip. Depending on how you hold your pen, you will sort of feel it in your fingers, against your fingers, and that might be uncomfortable for some. So it's definitely a consideration, as much as I love the little locking key and how it looks. Another reason that I've mentioned before is that the vacuum power fill system and the way this pen is designed doesn't give you an ink level window, so you really have no idea how much ink you have at any given time. Of course, you can just fill it if you're going on a trip, then you know you're full. But it would be kind of nice to see the ink level. There are other models that do, so you might want to go in that direction. But I can say that if I am using this pen regularly, I can feel it as it gets lighter lighter and lighter, and I just get a sense that this pen needs to be filled, that it's thirsty and it needs to drink some more ink to keep going and to stay motivated. But it is something to be aware of, because as you use this fountain pen and you're out and about, you may not have a real clear idea of how much ink you have left. Okay, all right, I'll get to you. Whoa, hey, tone it down, tone it down. All right, it's time to address the elephant in the room, with all due respect, and that is the QC issues with the nibs. I wish I had better news. In fact, when I heard about all these issues, I did sort of an informal survey of my own. I have some friends who own pen shops, and I asked them, hey, is this a true thing? Is it true that there are problems with the nibs of these fountain pens? And I was expecting people to say, nah, that's totally overblown. But instead, I heard things like, we actually have one person on staff who checks them. This is a true issue, but luckily, there is a mitigant to this. Have a relationship with your pen seller. Reach out, say hello, get to know them. I feel that it's a good idea to reach out, and then if they say, sorry, we can't check it or whatnot, then maybe you don't go to that particular pen seller. That's my opinion, because I think with this pen, the QC issues are significant enough, and you don't want the grief. You're spending $716. You just don't want to get your pen, unbox it, put ink in it, and it just false starts and it just writes like rubbish out of the box. There's nothing more deflating. There's nothing that takes away your inspiration or your joy more than that. I don't want that for you. So talk to your pen dealer first and make sure you get a fine example of this stupendous fountain pen, because the 18 karat gold nib is rather brilliant when it is done correctly. So just be very, very aware of that, because otherwise this pen is just a stylized paperweight without a decent nib. And in that case, it's not worth $1, let alone 716 of them. Okay, now it's time for my personal verdict on the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age, and I guarantee that this will surprise you. So, is it worth $716? I'm going to say yes, with caveats. And these are the criterion by which I feel that it's worth it. So $716 for a Grail pen is actually not that bad, but $700 definitely puts it in that expensive category. I feel like anything over $500 starts to get stratospherically expensive. Okay, so that's purely on price, but let's get into some specifics, and then I'm going to say something a little bit kind of shocking in a minute. And that is that you are getting some unique characteristics. This resin is really interesting and really fun. The hook safe locking mechanism is very effective, very interesting if you feel you have no issues with those ridges. The fill mechanism is reliable, quick, and well executed. The pen itself in general, just stupendous, and it's brilliant to write with. So if you get a good one and you get past all those QC issues with the nib, then I feel that this is a solid pen and will give you years of enjoyment. All right, but this is where I get maybe a little controversial, and this is my recommendation to you. It's worth it if you're someone who's buying and curious about Grail fountain pens. I feel like that's where I put this pen. I can't imagine a universe where the Visconti Homo Sapiens is my only fountain pen. I see it as fourth, fifth, sixth purchase. It's just not the type of pen that I see myself writing with exclusively and all the time. It's just quirky enough and different enough that it's more like a niche pen to me. Now, I am delighted that I own it. This one was a gift. My wife bought it for me. This one, it's a little more niche. I don't pull it out as much, even though I'm glad I own it. So my recommendation is, sure, buy it. If you can afford it, you could buy it without credit if you're using it as a pen within your collection for a specific time or use. That's the way I feel. So, what do you think of the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age? Is this a fountain pen you're going to add to your collection? What do you think of my arguments? Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments, and if you would, hit the like button too. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I try to keep it light, entertaining, educational, and go to a lot of different places. So come on along for that ride. Also, membership is available, so if you want to support the channel even more, keep the lights on, or join the Pen Pal group for Cognoscenti and Illuminati members, then join the membership today. I'd love to have you there. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show each week as well, so I can promise you we will see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care of yourself and stay inspired.